Hello students, welcome to the course Physics Principles and Applications for FYBSc Semester 1 Physics Paper 2. So let us start our fifth chapter, Applications of Electromagnetic Waves. So in this lecture we are going to study the various applications of electromagnetic waves in detail. So we will study the microwave oven and radar in detail. We will also study the pyroelectric thermometer. So let us study what are electromagnetic waves. So electromagnetic waves or EM waves are the waves that are created as a result of vibrations between an electric field and a magnetic field. In other words, electromagnetic waves are composed of oscillating magnetic and electric fields. So this is the electromagnetic spectrum. In this electromagnetic spectrum, we can see the different waves are arranged with their respective frequencies or wavelengths. So we can see from left to right, the wavelength goes on increasing. So gamma rays having smallest wavelength and the radio waves, they are having longest wavelengths. Whereas we can see from right to left, the frequency goes on increasing. That means the gamma rays, they are having the highest frequencies. That means they are highest energy radiations, right? So let us study the applications. So first application of electromagnetic waves is microwave oven. So we know the microwaves refer to the electromagnetic rays with frequencies between 300 megahertz and 300 gigahertz and of the wavelength between 1 millimeter to 1 meter in the electromagnetic spectrum. That means the microwave, they fall in the region of 1 millimeter to 1 meter, right? In that range only the microwaves, they fall, and therefore we can have the microwaves for various applications. So microwaves are small when compared to waves used in the radio broadcasting. So if you see the radio broadcasting waves, they are greater than 1 meter, right? So greater than 1 meter to few kilometers, and these are the radio waves. They are used in broadcasting, and microwaves, they are smaller than that of the radio waves, and therefore they are called as microwaves. It doesn't mean that they are the smallest one, right? We know the smallest waves are gamma rays, right? So microwaves are smaller than the radio waves, and therefore they are called as microwave, right? Their range is in between the radio waves and infrared waves. They don't require any medium to travel, right? We know that the microwaves or any electromagnetic radiation, it doesn't need any medium to travel, and metals will reflect these waves totally. Non-metals such as glass and particles are partially transparent to these waves, right? So when these microwaves, they incident on the metals, they will be reflected back. And for example, on the non-metals such as glass and other particles, they are partially transparent to the microwaves, right? And therefore we can have the various applications of microwaves. So microwave oven is one of the application. Microwaves are suitable for wireless transmission of signals of having larger bandwidths. They are used in the communication, for mobile communications also they are being used. Microwaves are most commonly used in satellite communications, radar signals, phones and navigations applications. Other applications where the microwaves use are medical treatment, drying materials, and in household for food preparation. Microwaves are suitable for wireless transmission, wireless LAN protocol, X Bluetooth, signals having higher bandwidth. So let us study the characteristics of microwaves. They are reflected by metals. They pass through glass, paper, plastic and similar materials. They are absorbed by food. So microwaves can cause water and fat molecules to vibrate, so they are used for cooking in microwave ovens. right? So this is typical microwave oven used in the household. Let us study the principle of microwave oven. So microwave oven is commonly used for cooking purpose without using water. High energy of the microwave rotates the polar molecules of water, fat and sugars of the food stuff. This rotation causes friction that result in heat generation. This process is called dielectric heating. The excitation by the microwave is almost uniform so that the food will heat up uniformly. The cooking in microwave oven is fast, efficient and safe. So this is a typical microwave oven. So it consists of different parts. So the microwave oven consists of a high voltage transformer that passes energy into the magnetron. So this is magnetron tube, a magnetron chamber, magnetron control unit, a waveguide and cooking chamber are different parts of this microwave oven, right? So this is the transformer where when we plug power to the transformer, it will give the power and it will give the energy to this magnetron, right? So magnetron is the source of radiation, right? So it is the source of microwave radiation, and that microwaves, they will pass to the we can say microwave chamber by using this waveguide. So this is the waveguide, right? Waveguide means some cylindrical or we can say a rectangular kind of tube, a metal tube. Inside that metal tube, the waves, they are passed from one place to another place. So from magnetron, the through waveguide, the microwaves, they are passed to the, we can say, the magnetron chamber. So this is magnetron chamber, and where inside the oven, they we can say we put the food, and on this food the microwaves, they are incident, right? So let us study the working of the microwave oven. So the energy in the microwave oven has a frequency of 2.445 gigahertz with a wavelength of 12.24 centimeter. So you can imagine the size of the wavelength, right? So the wavelength is of the 12.24 centimeter size, right? So microwave propagates as alternating cycles so that the polar molecules, so polar molecules means the molecules which has one end positive and other end negative, right? So these polar molecules, they will align themselves according to alternating cycles. So polar molecules example is HCl, right? So in HCl, what we have, ionic bond, a covalent bond, and here the we can see the chlorine is more electronegative than the hydrogen, and because of that the chlorine attracts all the atoms towards all the chlorine atom attracts the shared electron pair towards itself, right? And therefore chlorine becomes slightly electronegative, whereas hydrogen becomes slightly electropositive. So this molecule is a polar molecule. Here in the this oven, we use the water, right? So water molecules are there inside the food. So water molecule is also a polar molecule, where H atoms, they are slightly positive charge, and oxygen atom is at slightly negative charge, and therefore this molecule, H2O molecule, is polar, right? So these microwaves, they give so alternating cycles, so they are waves, so that the polar molecules, they align themselves according to the alternating cycles. So the polar molecules, they will start aligning as per the cycles of the microwaves, right? So this self alignment causes rotation of polar molecules. The rotating polar molecules hit other molecules and put them into motion, right? So all these polar molecules, they will be collisions between all these molecules, and in this process a large amount of heat will be produced, and this heat, induced heating, is more efficient if the tissue has high water content, right? So since there are free water molecules to rotate, so inside the food, when we have the water, so the heating is more efficient, and in that case what will have, the water molecules, they will heat up, and we can say fat, sugars, or frozen water, etc., shows less dielectric heating due to the presence of less free water molecules. Microwave cooks the outer part of the food first and then the inner part, similar to ordinary cooking using flame, right? So we can see the water molecules, they will heat up and they will cook the food, right, ultimately. So microwave cooking is more efficient than conventional cooking and energy heats only the food, not the compartment, right? So only the food will be heated and not the compartment. Even the vessel that carrying the food, that will also not be heated, right? So food cook faster does not reduce the nutritional value of the food. Less vitamins and mineral loss will be there. Glass, ceramic, paper, plastic container are used in the microwave oven. So we will not use the metallic container, because metals, they will reflect the microwaves back, and therefore we use glass, ceramics, paper or plastic containers only in the microwave oven. Let us now move to another applications of electromagnetic waves, that is radar. So radar is an abbreviation of radio detection and ranging. So we can see the radio detection and ranging. So only these few words from this word or this term we have taken. So radar word will be formed. So it is basically an electromagnetic system used to detect the location and distance of an object from the point where the radar is placed. It works by radiating energy into space and monitoring the echo or reflected signal from the object to measure the target distance. It operates in the ultra high frequency and microwave range. So radar will operate in the ultra high frequency and microwave range, right? Radars are used by ships, aircrafts and weather forecasters. So this is typically a radar antenna used by ships, or we can say on the airports also we can see this kind of antenna. So this is we can say the dial, circular dial inside the ships or airplanes. So radar will give a 360-degree view of the surrounding objects, right? So any threat to the ships or aircrafts will be there, that will be detected by the aircraft. Radars are also used for weather forecasting, right? So for weather forecasting, so we have the clouds. If you have clouds in the atmosphere, when the we can say the microwaves, they are incident on the these clouds, right? So they will be reflected from back from the clouds, and we can take the picture, right? So we will learn that where the clouds are present and where they are moving, and therefore we can make the forecast of the weather. So let us study the principle of radar. Inside radar, a short pulse of electromagnetic radiation is transmitted from a highly directional antenna. When this transmitted pulse hits the distance target, a part of the radiation is reflected back and an echo pulse which is detected by the receiver. So in this diagram you can see we have a highly directional antenna. That directional antenna will send, or it will transmit the pulse to the distance target, right? So this is the transmitted pulse, and when it will hit the target, that part of the radiation that will be reflected back, and that will be called as echo pulse, right? That echo pulse will be reflected pulse from the reflected wave from the target, and that echo pulse will be again received by the radar, and in this case that radar receiver will detect it, and it will analyze the two signals, and from that we can determine the exact location and let us say the speed of the distance target. So let us study the working of radar. So radar system generally consists of a transmitter which produces an electromagnetic signal which is radiated into space by an antenna. When this signal strikes any object, it gets reflected or radiated in many directions. This reflected or echo signal is received by the radar antenna, which delivers it to the receiver. where it is processed to determine the geographical statistics of the object. The range is determined by calculating the time taken by the signal to travel from the radar to the target and back. The target's location is measured in angle from the direction of maximum amplitude echo signal and the antenna points to. To measure range and location of moving objects, Doppler effect is used. So, we know the Doppler effect in the case of sound. So, similarly the Doppler effect will be used to determine whether the target is approaching towards the, we can see the target is approaching towards the radar in the direction of radar, or it is moving away from the radar. From that we can easily determine the range and location of the moving object. So, this is the block diagram of radar. So, you can see here we have the antenna. From this antenna the wave will be transmitted towards the target, and wave will strike on the target, it will be reflected back and it will be again received by the antenna. So, inside this antenna we have a duplexer. So, where we have received signal will be sent to the receiver, and one transmitted signal that will be received from the transmitter, that will be sent to the antenna, right. So, the duplexer which will act in joining the transmitter and receiver to the antenna, right. So, when the pulse will be sent, so that modulator will modulate the pulse and it will send to the transmitter. That transmitter will send pulse to the duplexer. So, duplexer will send to the antenna, and antenna will transmit that pulse towards the target, and when the pulse or wave will be hit on the target, it will be reflected by part of the wave will be reflected back, and that reflected echo signal will be received by antenna, and it will be passed through duplexer to the receiver, right, where that receiver transmit the signal to the display. Inside this arrangement we have a computer. So, inside this computer that will process the signals, both the signals, we have the master clock, where the we can see the it will keep track of the transmitted wave and received wave, right. So, this computer will on the display it will do the calculation, and it will display on the display, it will show the exact location and all the range and other details of the target. So, let us study different parts of the radar. A transmitter means the signal is first generated using a waveform generator and then amplified in the power amplifier. Waveguides. So, waveguides are the transmission lines for transmission of the radar signals. So, we know that microwaves, they need a waveguides. Waveguide means some cylindrical or rectangular shaped tubes, metal tubes. Inside that tubes the wave will be transmitted from one point to other point, right. So, antenna, the antenna use can be a parabolic reflector, planar arrays, or electronically steered phased arrays. Duplexer, a duplexer allows the antenna to be used as a transmitter or as a receiver. So, both applications of antenna can be done at the same time by using duplexer. It can be a gaseous device that would produce a short circuit at the input to the receiver when transmitter is working, right. So, at a time one part will be working, that means either transmitter or receiver of the working, and it will send signals to the antenna, or it will receive signals from the antenna, right. So, receiver is, it can be super heterodyne receiver or any other receiver which consists of a processor to process the signal and detect it. Threshold decision. The output of the receiver is compared with a threshold to detect the presence of any object. If the output is below any threshold, the presence of noise is assumed, right. So, there will be some threshold we can say set in terms of the echo signal, right. So, we may be receiving some echo signal back scattered by different objects in the atmosphere, maybe plants, we can say trees and mountains and everything, right. So, that therefore, some threshold is set, right. and beyond the threshold if we receive the signal, then we can say there will be the target, otherwise we can say it is a noise, right? So let us study the operating characteristics of radar. The operation of radar system depends upon following factors. First one is the choice of operating frequency. So high frequency, usually 10 to greater than 10 to 9 hertz is used, or it gives high resolution, requires antenna of small size but increases noise and decreases power generated, right? So high frequency, if we use high frequency greater than 10 to 9 hertz, it will give us high resolution, means object can be easily detected. So high resolution requires antenna of small size, so we can use the small size antenna also, but it will increase the noise and therefore decreases the power generated also, right? Therefore the choice of operating frequency is also important. Another operating characteristic is pulse duration. So for a good range resolution, pulse duration of 1 second or less are employed, right? So we must use pulse duration of 1 second or less. So every time we have to send pulse, right? So transmitter will be working for only short time and it will stop, and then receiver will be in action, right? So we are sending continuously, we are sending pulses. So transmitter will be working and then receiver will be working, right? So transmitter will send pulse, then it will stop working, then receiver will receive, will be on, it will receive any signal, is incoming signal, then again it will stop, and then again the transmitter will work. So the pulse duration is very short, so only 1 second pulse will be used, or less than 1 second duration pulse will be employed, right? So next characteristic is pulse repetition frequency. The time spent in the path between radar and objects may not exceed the interval between transmitted pulses. For larger range, we require low pulse repetition rate. Usually it is from 350 to 10,000 cycles. So if the target is closer, in that case we will need very fast pulse rate. But when the target is far away from the radar, in that case what we need, very slow or low pulse repetition rate, and therefore the pulse repetition frequency is also an important characteristics. Then another characteristic is transmitted power output. The transmitted power is determined by the maximum distance over which it is desired to receive target information. It is generally more than 1 megawatt, right? So generally more than 1 megawatt power will be used to transmit and receive signals from the target, we can say. Maximum range. So maximum range of the radar is depend upon the energy of the transmitted pulses and the sensitivity of the receiving signal, right? So how much energy we are transmitting, that means transmitted output power, if it is high, and if the sensitivity of the receiving system is good, then we can have a very large range of the radar. Otherwise there will be limitations on the range of the radar. So let us study the different uses of this radar. So radar is very sensitive instrument to find under all weather conditions the positions of mountains, icebergs in seashore lines, buried metals, oil and ores. It is also useful in safe landing of aircrafts and to detect any aircraft in atmosphere even in poor visibility due to heavy fog. Civilian uses. Radar has been widely used by ships for navigation, air traffic control, radar monitors. The air traffic radar with GCA ground control approach system is used to guide aircraft to a safe landing in fall weather. The radars have equipped with altimeters to determine the height of the aircraft above the ground. So altimeter is a device that is used to determine the height of the aircraft above the ground, and that also utilize the radars, right? In military applications, the radar is used to surveillance and for the control of weapons. The radars detect and locate hostile targets for the purpose of proper military actions, right? Then in DEW, that means distance early warning radars are used for detection of aircrafts, and BMEWS, that means ballistic missile early warning system radars for detecting and tracking of ballistic missiles, right? That means if any foreign or enemy aircrafts or missiles are incoming towards the land, right, in that case it will be detected by these two systems, DW and BMEWS systems. They will be installed on aircrafts and ships and even on the lands. AEW, that means airborne early warning radars, and AI, airborne interception radar, are used to guide a fighter aircraft to its targets, right? Shipboard surveillance radar is used to navy purposes, right? So we will have different kinds of radars. They will be used in the military applications. In scientific applications, radars have been used as measuring tools in meteorology. The radar can be used to guide space vehicles, satellites, or exploration of interplanetary space, right? There also we use radars. In the case of remote sensing, they are used in remote sensing for detecting weather conditions of the atmosphere, right? So we can remotely determine the atmospheric conditions by using radar, right? So these are the applications of radar. Let us now move to another application of electromagnetic waves, that is pyroelectric thermometer. So pyrometer is an instrument for measuring temperature, right? So we can say the pyrometer word comes from the Greek word for fire. So pyro means fire and meter means to measure, right? So that word means pyrometer, right? The amount of thermal energy or heat leaving a body by radiation and the wavelength of that radiation are functions of the temperature of the body, right? So this is the principle. This dependence on temperature of the characteristic of radiation is used as the basis of temperature measurement in these instruments. So what is the principle of pyrometer? That is the amount of thermal energy or heat leaving a body by radiation and the wavelength of that radiation are functions of temperatures of the body, right? So this is the principle of pyrometer, right? So this is a typical we can see a pyrometer. So we have this different layers in this material, right? So inside we have the black coating, then pyroelectric material will be there, and we have two electrodes, right? So when the radiation that will incident on this coating, black coating, that coating will absorb that radiation and that radiation will pass, right? So that heat will be passed to this electrode. So on this pyroelectric material on both sides we have two electrodes, right? So one part of this will be at the lower temperature and other part that will be at higher temperature, right? So this is a typical pyroelectric kind of thermometer that is used, right? Pyroelectric detectors are thermal detectors. Temperature fluctuations produce a charge on the charge change on the surface of pyroelectric crystals, which produces a corresponding electrical signal. This temperature gradient can be created by the absorption of light. So when light will incident on this pyroelectric material, it will produce the change in the charge inside that material, and that will produce an electrical signal. That electrical signal will be converted into temperature scales, and that will be displayed on the screen. So there are different types of pyroelectric materials available. Three of which are commonly used in pyroelectric detectors are DLA-TGS, then LiTaO3 and PZT, right? So these are the materials. So pyroelectric detectors for thermal radiation are a relatively new form of pyrometers. The construction material is usually ceramics are materials whose molecules have a permanent electric dipole moment because of the position of the electrons in molecules. Normally, these molecules lie in a random mismatch manner all across the bulk of the material, hence there is no net electrification as a whole, right. So usually ceramics are used, and these materials they will be having different molecules, and these molecules they will having permanent electric dipole moments. That means these molecules will be polar molecules, and these polar molecules they are randomly placed inside this material, and therefore their direction is scattered, right. And because of that there will be no net electric movement inside the material, right. So there will be no net electric dipole moment, and there will be no net electrification as a whole inside the material. Also, at ambient temperatures, the location or orientation of these molecules is more or less fixed. If the temperature is raised above some level characteristics to the particular material, the molecules start to rotate freely. The temperature at which this starts to happen is called as the Curie temperature, right. So we will have the electric inside this dielectric material. What will be there? The electric dipole moments they will be randomly arranged, right, of the molecules, right. But when the temperature will be increased, these they will be starting aligning in some particular direction, right. And at the temperature at the particular temperature they will start to align to rotate freely, and that temperature is called as Curie temperature, right. If the piece of pyroelectric material is placed between two electrodes at ambient temperature, then the molecular dipoles are almost fixed throughout the structure. When the temperature of the radiant object is increased, then the temperature and an electric potential is applied, then the molecules of the ceramic will align themselves and an electric field will be generated in the ceramic, right. So if the we can say when the temperature of the that object will be increased, then the temperature and an electric potential is applied. So we have to apply some small electric potential to the material, right. Then the molecules of the ceramic or dielectric material they will align themselves in the direction of the field, electric field, and we can say electric field will be generated in this process, induced electric field, and that will we can say that will be detected by the we have some arrangement to detect that electric field, induced electric field, right. So with the increase in temperature there will be increase in the electric potential, because there will be more alignment of the dipoles in the direction of electric field, right. And if the temperature of the ceramic material is increased, then the molecular dipoles will now rotate at higher angle, right. So higher temperature will be there will be higher rotation of the these molecular dipoles. Thus greater the temperature of the radiant object, greater will be the angle of oscillations of the molecular dipoles, right. So this is the working. So when the pyroelectric surface is used as a detector in the pyrometer, the radiations from the source are absorbed by the pyroelectric material, its surface temperature increases, right. If in the beginning the charge on the electrodes would be leaked away through the external electrical circuit, and hence the measured voltage between the two electrodes would be 0. When the pyroelectric surface heats up, a voltage is detected between the two electrodes, right. As the temperature is further increased, further voltage is increased. Through this voltage value can be measured the temperature, right. So this is the working of the pyroelectric thermometer. So in the today's lecture we have studied various applications of electromagnetic waves. We have studied the microwave oven in detail, we have studied the radar, and we have also studied the pyroelectric thermometer in detail. In the next lecture we will study another applications of electromagnetic waves, right. Thank you.